So welcome back to the channel of construction contracts discussion. So in the previous video, we discussed about the delays due to engineering or the design phase delays. In this video, we'll be discussing about the delays that happens in the procurement phase. Procurement is an important phase in an EPC contract. There are projects where almost 80% of the project will be outsourced. And in an average project, 40 to 65% of the procurement is outsourced in EPC projects for large power plants, oil and gas, or metro stations. So procurement is a very important phase that should not be underrated or undervalued. So let's see the delays one by one. I'll be sharing the file. Shortage of required materials. For example, we'll be having an required material list even before the starting of the project at the time of bidding. After detail engineering, there might be shortage of materials in the market. So that can be identified only at the time of floating the purchase orders or floating the RFQs to the vendors or the subcontractors. So this is totally out of control of either party in a contract. That even an employer cannot control this. Delay in material deliveries. See, that is a myth. Most of the EPC contractors that if you outsource a material, the material will be delivered automatically. No, even if you give the purchase order to the vendor, and it is the responsibility of the EPC contractor to stand behind them and get the materials delivered. So yes, that requires high expertise and skill to understand each and every procurement cycle, and you have to receive the schedules from the vendors, and that has to be followed on every fortnight basis or weekly basis to understand whether the material is moving from, whether the vendor drawings are being approved both by the EPC contractor and the employer, or the vendor, then the vendor drawing is approved, then the vendor has to go for procurement of their suborders. For example, if you are buying a wall, the vendor has to buy the raw materials for making the wall, like body, bonnet. They have to purchase from some other place. That will come from some other country. So you have to keep tracking every phase of the vendor's production manufacturing schedule to make the delivery possible on time or ahead of the time. Changes in material prices. So this is always an uncontrolled force in a procurement, that you will not be able to control the material prices, especially the metal prices, steel or copper, which we are most of the construction project are depend on. And this fluctuating cost will definitely affect the cost of the EPC contractor to complete the project. In some contracts like transmission lines, cross-country pipelines, there will be a provision for this change in material prices. For example, there will be a formula that if the steel price increases, and there will be a specific date for measurement of the steel prices, and for copper prices, aluminum, it goes on. But not majority of contracts will have this change in material prices. So this change in material prices not only affects the cost, it affects the time, the decision taken to buy them, or the availability of the material in the market. So everything will have an impact on the direct timeline of the project. Changes in material specification. So it may be either from a detailed engineering perspective. For example, we would have been considered a material at the time of bidding, but on detailed engineering, it would have been found that this material will not match the specifications. So there might be a change in specification by the EPC contractor himself, or there might be a material specification change or enhancement from the employer for some other safety reasons. So these both will have time and cost impact on the project. And poor subcontractor control. As I said earlier, that when we outsource a small part of the project or a material, that doesn't mean that the parties will take care and give back or deliver your project on time. It has to be monitored. And when you go for poor contractors in the sense of qualification, which are somehow substandard, or we are going to them for the price values, and these has to be taken care by the EPC contractor to avoid delays due to the subcontractors' way of handling the project. Problems between contractor and subcontractor. So this is similar to the problem between the employer and the contractor. So there might be payment issues, there may be claim issues, there may be coordination issues. So it can line up. It will be a separate discussion, like what we are having the discussion between the employer and the contractor. Some subcontracts will be very big. They might be doing 40% of the total project. So in such cases, these problems will have a direct impact on the project timeline. It will 100% contribute to the delays of the project. And even though the contractor tries to cover these kinds of delays before the employer, that these delays are concurrent with some other delays by the employer. So this usually happens in the industry, and this has to be very handled, and this is a very separate area which has to be discussed in detail. How to maintain a harmony between the contractor and subcontractor, how to deliver a project successfully together with a win-win situation. So rise in material prices. So again, it was discussed earlier, due to inflations or market risks or any poor planning, that might result in the rise in material prices, and definitely that will have an impact on the entire project timeline. And next, we'll be discussing about the delays in construction. Of course, we are going by the flow. We have seen engineering delays, then we have seen procurement delays, and now it is slowly moving to the construction delay. This will be the major area which will have delays due to its own issues, and it will also have a ripple effect from the engineering and the procurement phase. So this will be discussed separately, and this will be a very big area compared to the past two videos. Thank you. Thanks for watching.